Welcome to Awaz News. I'm Simona Cotoni and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. Hudson's Bay to resurrect discount retail chain Zellers. Tory concerned about Toronto daycares not opting into a $10 a day program. Intelligence report flagged possible violent revenge after Ottawa protest shutdown. Mysterious mountain of dirt appears in Toronto neighborhood. Statistic Canada to release 2021 census data on languages today. BC lawyer sentenced to 22 months for forging documents including police reports and doctor's notes. FIFA suspend India's National Soccer Federation. So those were the headlines. Now let's jump right into the detail. Canadian department store Zellers hope to make a comeback next year, a decade after the discount chain shuttered most of its locations. Hudson's Bay Corporation says Zellers will debut a new e-commerce website and expands its brick-and-mortar footprint within the select Hudson's Bay department store across the country in early 2023. The company says the relaunched Zellers will offer a digital-first shopping journey that taps into the nostalgia of the brand. Initial inventory will include houseware, furniture, and toys, with apparels to be introduced later in the year. The company also planned to launch a private brand according to the release. The return of the Zeller coming as a soaring inflation drives consumer to discount retailer in search of lower prices. It follows Tuesday's announcement from Hudson's Bay that outdoor gear retailer MEC will open shops in 3 Bay department store locations this fall. It also became amid an ongoing lawsuit over Quebec families' use of Zeller's brand. Toronto Mayor John Tory is expressing concern that more childcare centers in the city haven't opted into the federal government's $10 a day program ahead of the September 1st deadline. City data as of the last week reveals that 535 of the approximate 1,000 licensed daycare operators in Toronto applied to opt into the program, while 28 had signaled that their intention to opt out. While speaking to Awaz News Wednesday morning, Tory said some daycares are deciding not to join the program, likely because of the concern that they won't be able to reduce to a $10 fee a day with the level of the funding provided. Ontario Premier Doug Ford's government reached a $13.2 million childcare deal with the federal government back in March, becoming the last province to do so. The agreement will provide participating childcare center with funding, and in return, they will have to reduce the fee by an average of 25% immediately and then by another 25% in 2023. The goal is to have childcare fee further reduced to an average of $10 a day by 2026. Newly disclosed document shows federal intelligence officials warned the decision makers that the police dispersal of Freedom Convoy protesters in Ottawa last winter could prompt an opportunist attack against a politician or symbol of the government. The February 24th threat highlight marked secret or Canadian eyes only also advised the extremist influencers would leverage the outcome of the protest for continued recruitment and propaganda, regardless of whether COVID-19 pandemic restrictions were relaxed. Ideologically motivated extremists would likely use police enforcement to encourage violent revenge or as further evidence of the government tyranny, the 4-page assessment said. The partially redacted memo obtained by the Canadian press through the Access to the Information Act was among several integrated terrorism assessment center analysis produced before, during, and after the protests that paralyzed the downtown Ottawa for 3 weeks beginning in the late January. The center, overseen by the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, bring together security and intelligence professionals from various agencies to draft terrorism threat assessment based on classified and open source information to share with the partners at the home and abroad. The aim is to provide senior decision makers with the latest and most detailed information to assess the overall threat and the risk level. Residents of Toronto Neighborhood want answers after a massive pile of dirt appeared and no one seems to know where it came from. Those who live in the area said they first noticed the dirt piling up about 2 months ago at the parking lot of the former Toronto Weston Flea Market, which closed down in 2019. Gord Utterson rents a plot of land at the Silver Home allotment garden next door and said the residual dust rolling off the mountain is a problem. Contractors working in the area who spoke to the Awaz News said the dirt did not come from the nearby construction projects. The Toronto City Councillor Anna Belao, who represents Ward 9 Devonport, where the pile is located, could not be reached for comment. At the same time, a spokesperson for the City of Toronto said in an email that staff are investigating for the accumulation of dirt and its origin. Statistics Canada will publish its latest census release on languages this morning. The release, which reflects data from 2017 to 2021, will shed light on the state of English, French, and non-official languages in the country. According to the previous census, the Quebec English-speaking community had grown between 2011 and 2016 than during any census period over the last 4 decades. The previous census also found the proportion of the French speaker outside of the Quebec declined over the 5-year period. The census release comes as Quebec ramp up its effort to protect French in the province with its latest language law passed this year, restricting access to the government services in English. A British Columbia lawyer has been sentenced to 22 months in jail after pleading guilty to forging documents that he submitted to Canada's Immigration and Refugee Board over a period of nearly 10 years. Awaz was sentenced in May this year, but the judge's decision was posted online this week. In total, he pleaded guilty to 17 counts, 3 criminal counts of forgery, 6 criminal counts of uttering forged documents, and 8 counts of misrepresentation under the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act. The offenses take back at 2005 the court heard, with most occurring between 2009 and 2014. The criminal counts all have to do with the forging medical document in order to get the hearings postponed. The violation of the IRPA related to the forging medical and police report in concert with a Hungarian interpreter in order to make false claim on application for refugee status, the court document says. FIFA suspended India's National Soccer Federation late Monday due to undue influence from third parties, the sport's governing body said. The suspension of All India Football Federation threatens the country's hosting of the Under-17 Women's World Cup scheduled for October 11th till October 30th. FIFA said the suspension was effective immediately and the transgression constituted a serious violation of the FIFA statutes. The suspension will be lifted once an order to set up a committee of the administrator to assume the power of the AIFF Executive Committee has been repealed and the AIFF administration regained full control of the AIFF's daily affair, FIFA said. The Under-17 Women's World Cup cannot currently be held in India as planned, the FIFA said. The FIFA move also follows the Supreme Court of the India order on August 3rd for the National Soccer Federation to hold election for office barrier under a new constitution by August 29th. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Simona Cotoni and I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.